The Niners have a big decision to make with Brandon Aiyuk. They got to decide whether to give him his 5th-year option, whether to pick it up. And of course, hell of a player, but it's expensive. $14.1 million. Do you think, not is he worth it? I think he probably is. But will the Niners shell out the money for him? What do you think?
Yeah, that's the only way that's going to really be the balance of being right. It's like looking at the salary cap for, what would it be, 2024, right? Yeah, 2024.
2020.
Like, all right, how's Kittle's cap's going to hit?
That's true.
Armstead still on the board by then? I don't think I think
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me pull that up. 49ers salary cap. Yeah, I can get that.
Contract hitting. I think Trent Williams last year is that year. Bosa, Fred
Real
Warner.
quick, let me give you that. These are the cap hits so far for 2024. Trent Williams, $28 million. Eric Armstead, $25.8 million.
That's gonna
Fred Warner, $22 million. George Kittle, $19 million. And Travarius Ward, $15. I guess Debo's kicks in the year after. So that's 4 players over $19 million. And then you're adding Brandon Aiyuk would be at 14. He would make him the 6th highest paid player on the team, right above Christian McCaffrey. Well, I guess it's what you got to pay for a good wide receiver, huh?
I mean, it is, because usually if you want to actually extend someone to a long-term contract, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's always like the starting point's always going to be like the 20 million mark. So a little bit you're kind of getting him at a discount on a 1 year. But it is 1 year. But whatever, it's kind of a discount. And look, I think they're going to pick him up because, number one, they're not going to have a quarterback. I still don't think they're going to have a quarterback that's going to siphon up much of the cap space, so they have that leeway.
Yeah.
I know the cap space right now isn't very roomy, but I think by then, you're probably going to have like a couple of contracts that are pushed forward. Like, I think Eric Armstead is going to definitely get rolled over, or maybe even Christian McCaffrey gets a rework. There's going to be something that does that. And plus, I wouldn't rule out a trade on one of those depreciating players. Like, are any of who's to say like all these guys are still going to be at a high level, like a George Kittle and stuff like that?
That's true. Also, but you got to remember, Bosa's probably in 2024. Bosa's going to be making a lot of money, at least 17, 18 million. I don't know if it'll kick into the highest yet, but I mean,
I was going to say it might not kick in at 2024 yet, knowing the way the Niners.
But 2023 is going to be his 5th-year option year, so he's going to be making at least 17 million next year.
Right.
So he's not going to go down after that. But yeah, so he's going to be up there too. Yeah. Still, I think, man, they got to bring back Aiyuk. They drafted Aiyuk. They traded up for Aiyuk. I mean, they've been tough on Aiyuk. He's responded in every single way.
He's gotten better every year.
He has.
I mean, you might argue 2020 versus 2021, but it's like, okay, but that's more of like work ethic and mentality, and eventually he really picked it up. Ultimately, there was some polished and a level up he took each and every year, and that's always positive. It's like, wow, we got a guy whose arrow is pointing up, and it's stayed that way every freaking season. We want that.
I got a quiz for you. How old is Brandon Aiyuk?
23.
24. He turns 25 in a month. He's the youngest of the Niners' weapons. Like, if they let him go so they can hold on to Kittle, no offense, Kittle, great career. Niners Hall of Famer. But, dude, he's 30 this year. You got to hold on. He's 5 years younger than George Kittle. You got to hold on to Brandon Aiyuk. He plays a premium position.
31 by the time his 5th year hits in.
There's no replacement for him either. If you get rid of Brandon Aiyuk, the wide receiver room is Debo, who's half running back, and on the downside of his career, I don't know. You tell me, Debo. And then what else? You got gadget guy, slot receiver. I mean, Danny Gray. You got to bring back Brandon Aiyuk. Have to.
I think the only thought of not picking it up, or even let's take it further. If you do pick it up and they don't extend him, is that wide receiver could be as actually kind of replaceable if you know what you're looking for. If you don't mess it up,
you could draft it if you have draft picks.
I mean, then if you want to argue the Niners trustworthy in that, okay, sure, because they've only really hit on a few of them with Juwan Jennings, who was just a flyer at the end of the draft, and then Debo, and then Aiyuk.
Debo and Aiyuk, yeah. I mean, they've gotten better after missing on.
But they drafted
Pettis.
but they've invested, other than defensive line and wide receiver. Those are the top 2 most invested positions since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch took over. And of all the 2, I'm pretty sure wide receiver has been the most hit or miss. I mean, the most missed on. So it's almost like, are you sure you guys know what you're looking at here sometimes? But I digress. So I think that's something that that's another avenue that's to really consider there. It's like, all right, the value of a retaining versus replacing. Do we have the trust in? Will we have the picks? what year, what level of our pick's going to be. Is it going to be another bottom 6? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to be thinking that way. They might end up trading for those picks again down the line.
Also, it's like you're going to be spending $24 million a year on Deebo Samuel pretty soon, and then if you picked up this option and extend Aiyuk, now you're going to be spending another 20-something million on him, on a team that's supposed to be a run-first team and a team that just got whooped in the trenches. So, do you really want to spend $45-50 million a season on wide receivers, or do you need a better right tackle to go along with Trent? Do you need a right side of your offensive line? It's a tough one. I mean, I'm in favor of bringing back Brandon Aiyuk, but they just got whooped in the trenches a week ago. And they're in denial about it a little bit, but at the same time, their wide receiver room is better than their offensive line. It just is. So they got to make these decisions. With $14 million, they could get maybe an upgrade for Mike McGlinchey, maybe. I don't know. McGlinchey's going to get about that much. But anyway.
They're still going to have to look for the draft, though, because you already have so many holes on that offensive line with center and right tackle. Like, literally, little physical holes. There's no one signed that they can start there right now. And, B will be like, okay, week 1, we're okay. Like, no, that's not going to happen. They're going to figure that out.
How many wide receivers can a team afford? I mean, how many teams have 2 wide receivers making more than $20 million?
I mean,
how many teams?
I almost said the Niners. How stupid. The Bengals are about to let T. Higgins go, probably.
I think you can only have one. I don't know of another team that's spending $50 million a year between 2 wide receivers. Like, the Eagles have 2, but one's on a rookie contract. The other one's A.J. Brown. I don't know, man. And honestly, if you're picking between the 2, I'd rather have Aiyuk. But Deebo has this crazy contract. I don't think that you can move Deebo. If you tried to, he would come with dead cap. I don't know. This is going to be interesting, man. Aiyuk, I'm not sure if they're going to keep him long term.
This is why I think it's good. It's good that at least it's a 5th-year option. So it's like, you know what? Now it's really. I think Aiyuk might be someone who there might be a chance where even if they do pick it up, that they don't probably engage too much in extensions this time next year. I think going, you know how they always do the little late training camp, whatever thing, like they always do with their 5th-year guys. Yeah. Barring what he does this upcoming year, I'd be wondering if they just don't wait until his contract passes and then they try to figure out or do something. But I think, to me, I think he's a no-brainer to pick up and even really heavily consider extending, because I don't think people realize, look, I get we all expected him to break out this year, but he did it with 3 different quarterbacks.
It's true.
He did it with 3 different quarterbacks. Even 2. Okay, fine, 2 if you don't want to consider Lance. Even though
he's been dealing with different quarterbacks every season of his career.
That's wild, man. It's that says something for a quarterback who especially who was so entrenched with synchronization with Lance, because look, who was he really destroying everyone in training camp with? It was Lance. He wasn't really practicing with Purdy. And as much as he's played with Jimmy over the years, look, 2020 he didn't really play with him. 2021, sure, but there was always a little bit of aggressive undertones from him, a little illustrations. But 2022, it's almost like he sucked it up and just did it with him. And he probably played better with Jimmy than he did with Brock, but still, he played with Brock and he still played well, even though he wasn't getting the numbers. And he still excelled. Overall, he was still an impact player, even though it was only a couple catches a game with him.
And if the Niners let Aiyuk go, there's a significant chance that he has his best years somewhere else, because he's still young, and I don't think the Niners have taken advantage of his full skill set yet, because he's only played 3 games with Lance. Imagine if he went to the Chiefs or to some team or the Chargers or the freaking Bills, any team with a quarterback who could throw it down the field. He's gonna look better. So. Yeah, I think his best days are still to come, as opposed to the other wide receiver, number 19 on this team, who may be on a slow fade, depending on whatever his body's going to be like next year. We shall see. Deebo, I'm trying to bring the best out of you, man. Yeah, prove me wrong, buddy. Do it.
I don't think, dude, I was really thinking about Deebo Samuel, too, all week. I'm like, it really wasn't a good season. What did he do? I was trying to think of, like the actual highlights, not just games.
Highlights. Right.
Okay. Rams. We know he had that one play, and then probably another couple.
The Seahawks game, the 52-yard run against the Seahawks, week 2,
right?
So early in the season.
That one was sweet as hell.
Okay, he had the play against the Seahawks in the playoffs, right, where he caught the ball and he turned up field and scored a touchdown. Or was that Kittle? No, that was Deebo.
Right?
That's 3.
It's 3. Didn't he have kind of a nice one in the Chargers game? Nothing crazy, but it was kind of nice. I think it was a 20+ yarder, maybe.
I don't remember.
Maybe.
I believe. Let's give him that. I don't remember it though. I remember 3 big plays from him this year.
Because it's 2 LA teams on primetime that I'm thinking of.
Meanwhile, you had Brandon Aiyuk and Christian McCaffrey putting out highlight memorable plays every week.
I really want to know how many catches he actually had that were air yard throws past 5 or 8 yards.
That's a great call. All of a sudden, his route tree was like
I bet
a bush.
I'd be willing to bet you, over under 15 catches. He had over 8 yards.
I'd like to know. Yeah, can someone find that out for us? Because I don't want to do research.
I would say it's 12 or 13.